Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star at Mopars.com. It is Mopar Monday, it is also Magnum Monday. Not sure you can see that, but 5.9, that's right, 5.9 Magnum 360. Good times, right? I'd rather be working on the truck, but I'm waiting on some parts and I'm thinking, hey, I've got a video out Wednesday and I keep having to put one off because I'm not happy with what we recorded, so we're redoing it. Funny, if you also saw on the old watch there, 97 degrees, right? That's what that top section is right there at the top. It's just about 100 degrees right now, cooled off a little bit. 50-mile-an-hour wind, if you hear that rattling around out there. Thing is, when I originally recorded this video, it was like early or mid-January. It was polar opposite, quite literally, super cold. So, oh, how things change, right? But something that doesn't change is that I'm not afraid to admit when I make mistakes. There were some actually really good parts for those of you that like complaining and griping and seeing products fail miserably. Probably ought to just save my time, not make this and release that one. It's edited, it's uploaded, it's literally been sitting there ready to go. And a couple of things happened. Number one, this was extremely disappointing to me as a product. Number two, I think the Cowboys, I think that was the day they lost in the playoffs, something, or right around that time, something had conspired. It wasn't a good time here. And anyway, there's a couple of things that I kind of want to take away from that, and we're just going to basically redo the video. So if you're sitting here and you're thinking like, hey, you know, you've had these since January, why aren't you using them? I didn't like them. Didn't like them at all, and there's a reason for that. I was under a very big misconception. All right, so what these are Carlyle tools, wrench holders. They go back to that, like, we got some stupid good buys, like the lock socket rails, the friction peg socket holders, not the orange ones, those were the prototypes Mechanics Time Savers sent out to us, but like everything I got, like at the end of December, the start of the year, the big organization sale, like super good prices. The most expensive item out of that, I'm sure most people would think it was like the half-inch drive lock socket rails that were labeled. Yeah, I'd agree with you on that, but no, it was these. Right now, if you come in, you can buy these at your local Napa or online. They're 45 bucks. Now, they frequently run promotions. Everything's 10% off right now. That doesn't do much for you, basically, you know, $4.50. These are still north of $40. I would not touch them for $40. If you go direct to Mechanics Time Savers with no sale or promotion or anything, they're $34.99, which you're already coming out on top there. Where these went terribly wrong for me is, let's just kind of run you through the basics here, right? So this is a metric wrench holder and an SAE wrench holder. And the way you see these is not like you see the tabs, you know, for the packaging in the store on the pegboard or anything. This is how you can imagine them in your box. And it's important that you do that, whether this is your workbench or you're going to put them in a toolbox. This is how they're going to be oriented. You will never, short of having any wrenches at all in them, stick them like this. And if you're thinking like, stick them like that, what's the deal? Well, right here is your answer. Magnetic wrench holder, right? So I have seen pictures, like orientation, you know, renderings of this, I think through Napa, either on like some product page or, you know, on Instagram way back, I don't know. But I swear these things were vertical. That does not happen here at all, under any circumstance. And don't tell yourself that it will because you have lightweight wrenches. It will not. You will be sorely disappointed with a $45 magnetic wrench rack. The magnet, I would look at that as like a placeholder. It's designed, essentially all I could deduce is if you slam your drawer shut, you know, it's going to stay in place a little better than if there was no magnet. So these have been opened, as you can see here. Let's go ahead and drop them out so you can maybe get a better look at them. I seriously wondered about returning these. The box Napa shipped everything to me in was a complete train wreck. It looks like it'd been trapped in the sands of time on top of that. My plan was actually to run these to a local Napa, and I just never got time to. These things were bought in December. It's like a lost cause at this point. But just for packaging sake here, you can see in this orientation, I think 90%, I mean, even 50% of people, if we want to be super lenient, Would assume, especially since it's a magnetic wrench rack, that this is going to hang vertically. Like, that's what that looks like to me. This does not look like it's in a drawer to me. This looks like it's hanging vertically off of something, like the side of your toolbox or your tool cart, all right? You're rolling around the shop and you've got your wrenches hung in there. No, not happening. Trust me, been there, done that. So they say perfect for toolboxes, shop carts, and workbenches. So again, you're thinking like, oh, well, it's got to be better than this guy's making out. No, I think this is going to be an okay product if you're fine with it being just like this. If you want this and you want the wrenches hanging vertically, step back and do not buy this item. There are other options for you. So what I want to do now, and I debated about like compiling these, but I think since we're like doing everything standalone, we'll stick to that. But instead of throwing this thing under the bus, which is what I had done, because again, to me, this right here, what Carlyle chose to put on the back of the package, that I take it again as vertically oriented. If this had like a toolbox liner, and right here, you know, where this first line of text is, was like the handle of the drawer, I would think, oh, it must, you know, like lay flat type of a thing. And I would wonder if you can hang it on the side of a box, but, you know, I would assume like, well, I don't know, we'll have to investigate it. This and other things I've seen online, it looked vertical to me, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, if you're thinking like, wait, you know, I wouldn't want this if it's got to be lay flat in a drawer, you know, I'd do something else. Well, if you want to go vertical, there's this. I think I got this from Summit here like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I obviously haven't opened it, but it's their part number LAW12B. This is the locker wrench. This is the blue one. This is one that would have like way beefier magnets. Okay, this is direct from MTS as well. It's not like a Carlyle one. I assume they have it. Don't hold me to that. But this is what would hold your wrenches vertically. All right. So again, if you're anxious about that, we will have videos on it. Rest assured. I can also tell you, already recorded and uploaded from months ago, we also have 1 or 2 more wrench racks. I'm not going to go into too much detail on them. And then I've picked up another one from Harbor Freight that's like pretty new. So currently kind of upset with Harbor Freight. So I don't know. I've again got a ton of videos already recorded and released. Or to be released, right? And I'd hate to not use them. But a lot of what I do with them moving forward is going to hinge off of what they decide to do in regard to something that we're not going to talk about right now. So they stepped up the first time. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, I don't know. A little worrisome there. But so here these are, and this is how you need to again picture these holding wrenches. They are limited in the size scope, right? So 1/4 to 1 inch, 8 to 21. That's a pretty good range in my opinion. It's going to cover most people. Best case scenario, you know, if you're like set stops at 3/4, you just have a little bit of dead space. You can lop it off if you want to. That would be a very ugly cut, I'm sure. But that's also an excuse. Let's say you do stop at 3/4 or you go 8 to 19 with your metric set, and you want to go ahead and fill it out. It gives you an excuse to buy, you know, 2021, 15, 16, 7/8, right? In my opinion, 7/8 and 15, 16 should be mandatory in an instance, but that's just me. So same thing down here. If you got like a 7 or a 6 for like trim fastener, that type of stuff, you know, yeah, it doesn't cover it, but it's going to do the vast majority for the greater percentage of people, I would say. So size range will be a bit of a limitation here in terms of the overall length. Let's go ahead here. I've got the Black Widow on another table, but we're going to call that about 11.5, just a little above that. There's probably a metric equivalent, but I'm old school and frankly don't care. So coming in here across the bottom, we're going to call that 2 1/4. Kind of difficult for you to see, but trust me, 2 1/4 there. Now the big one, and another limiting factor on these for some of you, is going to be the height. It's probably about 2 1/8. I'm so used to the big, I run a lot of Comalon tapes, and then the, probably mispronounced that, but the Black Widows. I recorded one of those videos many moons ago when I'd gotten some new ones in at work to kind of compare and contrast them, but nothing ever came of that. I shot on my cell phone during break. But anyway, that's what these look like. And so if you've got like a shallow drawer, right, like a typical lay flat wrench drawer type of a thing, I can tell you right now, it ain't happening. It's going to be too tall. So you're going to have to go to a drawer with a little bit more depth. Again, a work surface would be awesome. Some of you are probably sitting here thinking like, hey, you know, this is great, you know, maybe these magnets don't hold like the guy said, but you know what, I could drill that. I'm proficient with self-tapping fasteners. I can make something happen. You can certainly mount this vertically if you're so inclined, but I promise you the wrenches are not going to stay. So what I'm going to do is grab maybe some Husky and Wiha. I don't know. We'll get an assortment of wrenches over here and I'll kind of populate these for you. Save time. I'll do it off camera. And again, I hate this because I've already done this a couple months ago, but I'm going to go back through the paces and I'm going to try to not have a 40-minute video. So I do make a conceited effort time-wise on occasion, and this is one of those instances. So let's can it. Let's get some wrenches and talk about how they fit. People always ask for toolbox tours and you get heat guns on the floor. No, but right here, this is what we've got for this wrench drawer, right? These positions are not like solidified or anything like that. It's just kind of thrown together as stuff arrived. But toolbox widgets kind of hold my trick A-end wrenches. I don't know if I've released that video. Probably shouldn't have shown you that. Got some adjustables here, and then we've just got the big flat lay foam tray from Capri, right? That goes way back. And what I want to showcase is we're going to be taking these wrenches that fit in this manner in this side drawer. If you're wondering why I'm not like standing in front of it, well, we got a duster and it's narrow openings, right? So what I'm gonna try to do is not get stuck on anything and just kind of showcase this to you, because it's imperative that we understand if this fits, how it would fit, and what it would do. So this to me is kind of the cream of the crop for a wrench layout. And like a foam tray, it is labeled. You don't see the sizes very well. That's one of the knocks on it. I tell you what, let me showcase this as well. Okay, this is a bad example because it's sideways, all right? But right here, man, we've got it, and it's like, hey, that's not a bad magnet. You sure those wrenches aren't going to hold? Well, let's investigate. All right, so here's step one. It actually fits in that drawer, as you can see. We come back to it, and now we're going to start populating it. All right, so aside from the glaring weakness of not having an 11/32 wrench, which I can't recall that I've ever used in my life, this doesn't look too bad, right? I went ahead and put the channel log wide ass and the Heyco in there. It's literally what they called. It's PG channel, but that's literally what it's called. And that's just to sort of show you, you know, like the 1, the 15/16, those are almost, you know, rack to base of the toolbox drawer, but you then have dead space there. And in this case, like a, you know, shallow, you know, narrow drawer, if you will, you got a lot of dead space. And it's like, what do you do there? And it's like, well, that's something you can do. You can have your 8/6/4, your adjustables, whatever, you know. A couple other ratcheting wrenches, maybe if you've got, you know, like a smaller size or a larger size, you can shove it in over here type of a deal. But this actually looks pretty good, right? And that's the thing. This is exactly how you need to use this particular wrench rack in this exact configuration. If you ask anything more from this to go vertical, to do something else, you're going to be severely disappointed. So I kind of want to highlight something else. When I first started trying to populate this, obviously not this time, but originally, I was trying to put the box ends in, right? In this particular case, these are ratcheting wrenches. That isn't happening on any size, okay? I will say, like, having this down, I'm just going to grab the 5/8, and I want you to listen for the sound. It's a decent magnet when it's, you know, limited to this fashion. So check it out. Right? Pretty positive. If I go and I shut it, we're not going to have any issue whatsoever. It's got some weight to it. It's locked in. The wrenches are held in. Where you're going to be upset is if you treat this as I thought it was, a vertical wrench rack, right? That's where the one that I just kind of blew a video. It's not going to be a surprise. If you watch everything, you're going to know it's coming. Not going to know when, but some Wednesday in the not too distant future, you'll see that thing. That's the one that we should, in theory, be golden on. So what I'm going to do now is showcase a couple of other wrenches in this rack for you. All right, so I apologize. Again, I'm kind of freehanding this. Again, there's just not much space in this section of the shop. But you'll note 1 inch down to 5/8, we got the shiny chrome of the Capris. Over here, minus again the glaring weakness of no 11/30 seconds, we've got some black wrenches. These are the Huskies from way back in the day. These are actually kind of cool. They're extended length, so they're a little bit longer than a standard wrench. But that's about it. You know, they sort of have like their version of the flank drive. And if you're thinking like, well, hey, you got the half and you got the 9/16. Why aren't they in there? You know, what's the deal? What arbitrary reason do you have for having 7/16 down populated and the half of the 9/16 not there? Are you going to just tell us like there's some coating on these that aren't magnetic, aren't you? Well, let's find out. Do you see the problem here? Like, unless you want to come in and spend some time with the file, that is not going to fit. And you think, okay, well, hey, it's Husky. Who knows where that was made? It's probably not done to standards. Try the 9/16. That's not happening either, folks, okay? So, this brings up a new point of contention for this product where what's the reason those don't fit and what will fit, right? So we don't have like adjustability here. It's fixed. Obviously worked beautifully with the Capris. I would think it's going to work with the vast majority of wrenches. It works with part of the Huskies, but half-inch and up, we get nothing. Now, if you're sitting here and you're thinking like, hey, what other SAE wrenches does this guy have? You know, let's figure this out. Well, check out these SKX frames, right? We got the beloved 9/16 here, and you know, think, well, hey, try the box end. When you look and you think, that's too fat. You would be correct, and you're thinking like, hey, good news though, that's gonna fit, right? Standard in there on that one. Nope, it's just like the Husky. It's not happening. So it's almost a deal where my advice to you, assuming you buy these locally, is talk to your local Napa and say, hey, you know, these are my wrenches. I need to know if they fit in here. And they're either going to say, well, grab one and bring it. Or they're going to say, well, hey, you know, buy it, take it home. And if it doesn't work, bring it back. You know, and you hopefully go back in and you talk to Jerry, the manager who sold them to you a day ago, right? So that's an extra step you're having to take that I wish you weren't having to, but it's kind of a crapshoot, right? So you don't know what's going to fit and what isn't going to fit. In the case of the Capris, you're home free. Let me go ahead and since we're redoing this, I'll grab some OG Crafsman. We'll see if they fit. I don't think I tested those the first time, and we might grab a couple others as well. What's changed? We're back, but what's changed? Something is different. You can tell, right? Well, half and 9/16 are now populated, and if you're curious what these are our super mega awesome purchase of the jumbo wrench set of the Wihas. Now, those of course have a good home in the hall wrench rack, but they actually fit. Now, these little guys, which have come in quite handy since I've had them, the video just released this past Saturday. If you missed it, check it out. They're the SK Stubbies, right? So we've got the X frames, we've got their Stubbies. Will they fit? Looks like they will. So, and I assume they'd kind of progress up the board, although that is pretty tight. I'm not gonna lie. But they're in place for the OCD people. I've got them facing the opposite of the Husky. You're welcome. You'll be traumatized for the rest of your Wednesday. I nearly said Saturday. And then right here, boy, I don't even know if you've seen these suckers before. These are my only wrenches for forever. The OG Crafsman USA, right? They've been, oh, if wrenches could talk, I tell you, right? So, let's see if these will fit. I have a feeling that they will. I'll orient them for the OCD people so they match. Yeah, so aside from that being incredibly funky for some reason, and encroaching on the half-inch, yes, the open end fits. Close end, this is a bad idea since they're offset, but you could possibly even wedge that in. That looks bent, doesn't it? What have I done to that? I don't know, maybe that's a me thing, I don't know. But yeah, so it's honestly kind of a crapshoot. I would think you're probably going to be safe. You're more likely to have your wrenches fit than not fit. But it is something you need to be aware of and take into consideration. Again, my advice is go local. If you opt not go local, or maybe you don't have a Napa, maybe they close down near you or something, you think, man, I really want this thing, email them ahead of time. I would suggest email so you actually have the paper trail. If you call in, you know, you'll probably get somebody super nice and say, oh, no big deal, return it. It's better to have that in writing. So keep that in mind. But when you consider that this product works in this fashion, you will be much happier. So what I'm going to do is pull these out, the ratcheting wrenches, and then we'll maybe go even just with those black Huskies up to 7/16. I'm going to take you to a US General, and I'm going to put this on the side of the box and kind of show you what happens. Alright, so here we are, the side of the box. This is not near as good of an angle as I had back in January because I've got two of them pushed against the wall and sort of sorted and structured now, which is a shame for video purposes because I'm in a dark corner. But, number one, this is a half of a paper towel holder. If you remember, I left this thing vertical. It's kind of weird, don't usually do that. I kind of like it, so I'm leaving that there. I was happy with the positioning. But if you pay attention, we've got this thing and it holds fine, you know, by itself, and even with those 4 wrenches. Keep in mind we're missing the 11/32, so 7/16 down through quarter we've got populated. Now I'm gonna, what do we want to do? Maybe the 1 inch first, just so we can say it's balanced a little bit, right? If you recall, this is the Capri. I'm not cheating on you. It's actually gonna fit in here. Now, are you ready? Do you see what happened there? If we had a level, which I don't, this has gone from being parallel, you know, on the same plane as the floor, to kind of roller coaster riding, right? So if I were to take this little nut, yeah, it does that because it's sloped. So if you're thinking like, well, you know, it's gonna hold, man, you know, it's not that big of a deal. Well, let me grab the 15/16, and it's the end of the ride. I can almost guarantee it. So I'm gonna line this up. And yeah, so that's literally, I can't tell you, like everything I had seen to me indicated this is what this rack was to do. It was to be a vertical holding wrench rack. And I've tested it with Stahlwille. That's like the lightest wrench known to man that's actually not gonna, you know, spread apart on a fastener. It doesn't even work there. You get to a point, like maybe you can get a couple more wrenches, but then it just starts to drop. So you have to think of this wrench holder being used in a drawer. That's where it's going to shine. That's where it's going to excel. As another, just kind of since that first video, which I didn't even release it, and it sucks I'm having to waste my time editing and making this one, but I'm going to do one more thing, one more little comparison for you to kind of showcase this wrench rack. Box with nothing in it, which is exactly what you don't need to pay attention to because this is what I want you to focus on. This being an Ernst wrench gripper with a Heyco set. The 10 is missing. I know where it is. Oddly enough, the 18 is missing. I don't have a clue where that thing is. I'm kind of thinking it might have got left on a frame rail. Maybe it'll turn up here eventually. But what I'm kind of trying to showcase is, if you pay attention now at the top of your screen, you're going to see our little Carlyle Tools magnetic wrench holder, right? We've learned our lesson. It's not on the side of the box. It's here. Almost in this 44-inch US General, the narrow side of the drawers, it's almost a perfect fit. You could probably fit a slightly bigger wrench and a smaller wrench, as well as something at the back, all sorts of options. But what I'm trying to do here is just kind of give you an idea of where this could become a viable option. So obviously, this works really well, you know, the Ernst gripper. We're going to go ahead and grab and get it out of the way. Set that over here. And what I'm going to do now, this is almost wrench storage nirvana, right? This is like equivalent to the weight of the 1-inch Capri, okay? And if you want to talk about minimalist and space savings, it's that right there. These are Stubby metric wrenches. They're the series 13, and I think I've got like a 6 through a 19. Some stuff's missing. You get the idea, right? That is a very, very, very small wrench rack, and it does an amazing job. You got to remember, the Stahlwilles are thinner than a lot of wrenches, but it does an amazing job of space savings, right? I mean, we could fit thousands of wrenches in. Maybe not quite, but you know, you get the idea, right? Versus something like that, or something like the gripper, or your typical lay flat configuration, which yours truly used, geez, you know, for years and years and years, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this tiny, tiny footprint, and I told you, I said the Black Widow was over here. Well, it sure is. So going by that wrench there, you know, our 19 in the back, roughly 9 inches. I mean, this is pretty sweet. That's like 3.5 inches. We've got that many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 wrenches confined to like 3.5 inches. Do the math. That's pretty impressive. And again, this is a legit rack, right? I'm able to pick it up, take it, no trickery. Gloved hand is over here. This hand is here with the pinky out like an aristocrat. But what I'm going to do now is switch this from this to that, and we're going to take a gander. All right, so here it is. Again, 18. I was pretty sure I had one. I thought I had a 21 too. Maybe I haven't put that in the tool haul. I don't know. Could be with the Challenger. All sorts of options, but 8 through 21, there it is. It's populated all the way through 15, and then we took the German efficiency method of 17 and 19. That's the difference, right? It spaces it out. Now, what's the downside of this? People are going to be like, well, this was so much more efficient. It's amazing. I agree. I absolutely love this thing. That's why, believe it or not, I've been using it for, I don't know, probably over a year. The downside and what really sucks about this is getting a wrench out, right? It's sort of a crapshoot. I kind of know what I've got. I have a rough idea, like, oh, here's the 10, right? But if I were to grab, say, the 9 or the 11, you have to come in and adjust. Where this shines and where you think, well, that is a benefit, is it's easy to read size markings, right? Even though these are Stahlwilles, we cannot hang this on the side of a box. It's not happening with this product. That's where the other one, Mechanics Time Savers, will come in. Or it should. I haven't opened it. I haven't tested it, but I think it'll be okay. But I mean, I gotta say, like, shutting that drawer, obviously these don't have the soft close like the Husky or anything, but it stayed put, right? It stayed planted. These are something that it just kind of, what's your preference? What do you want from a wrench holder? Are you concerned? You know, like, do you want maximum space savings? Are you going to do something crazy like this? Do you think, hey, I just want my stuff laid out where I can see it and I can get to it? If I need to grab, this is kind of tight still, but I mean, it's much less tight than what we had, right? So it's sort of, again, personal preference. That's why I'm showcasing all this. That's why I bought all this stuff, for me to test it out, to show it to you, and ultimately you can make your own decisions. Now, again, as you should know from what we've done in the past, we're going to take all these, we're going to populate them, we're going to showcase them, we're going to go head to head, pros and cons. By that point in time, obviously I will have used everything. I'll kind of have my own personal opinions I can share, but it kind of comes down to you, whether it's a budget constraint, whether it's a space constraint, whether you're like, that is the nerdiest thing I've ever seen, I wouldn't be caught dead with that, or if you look at it the complete opposite and you say, that is the coolest, easiest to read, I'm tight on space, I'll find and make space, that's what I want to sort these wrenches. Everyone's going to be different, right? So what I want to do is one final test, mainly for myself, and I guess as a benefit to you. This is a fairly standard, toolbox drawer, right? We may back that thing on up. The good news is we'll have to watch that lip, but these should be 22s. They're not. They're 20. Okay, well, that's confusing. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure how Harbor Freight measures these things, but interior dimensions is what matters. I'm going to call that right at about 20, right? It may not be quite that, but for our purposes, we're going to be good. I'm going to scoot that back, make sure everything is visible, accessible, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab the SAE and we're going to see if we can populate that. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see if we can make a cool outcome for this product. All right, so this is just orientation 1. I'm not saying I would do this, not saying you have to do it. I'm just trying to showcase some options, right? So we've got 8 to 21 populated, same thing with the Stahlwille. If we pan out, that's right. Trying to keep this to where the numbers face you. If you're like super OCD about that stuff and you're not bothered by the fact that you start with the largest and go down, that bothers me. This is what you've got now. If you think like, hey man, why did you stop at 5/8? 11/16 and above, we were simply out of real estate. Was not happening. Now, there is a workaround for that, which is flipping this. So you would have to decide if you want, metric or SAE at the front or the back, and which one you use more. You can orient it appropriately. But what I'm going to do, just to try and fit everything, when we flip this, instead of having the 1 inch over here where the box end hangs out, like to this point outside the drawer, we're going to flip it, and then we have this 1 inch matching with the 8mm metric. Similarly, we will have the 21 metric matching with our 1/4 SAE, right? So there's a chance it fits. We're going to try to find out. Well, it's the moment of truth. Did it work? Did it go up in flames? What's the story, and why does that battery charging smell bad? Well, let's start here. Dun 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 dun. The chrome kind of makes it hard to see, but check it out. We actually did it, and for your viewing pleasure or displeasure, kind of simulate this a little bit better. I went ahead, I grabbed those Heycos just since they were handy. Obviously, some of you will be appalled to see, you know, offset box ends like that with relatively straight. But it filled the slots, and I thought that was the best we could do. Obviously, once again, your particular wrench set, let's be honest here, if we had, say, the Husky extended length, or if we had the Stahlwille 14 series, maybe we hit a point of contention. Maybe we have to orient this differently. Maybe with this box, we have to turn everything 90 degrees and put it in the bigger drawer to the side. It's totally dependent upon what your wrenches are, what the confines and dimensions of your particular box are, and that's something you need to take into account. But if, let's say that you've got your standard wrenches, you know, up top, you use them all the time, and you've got your ratcheting wrenches in a drawer, if you've just got basic sizes, like you don't have something stupid, insanely large like that Wiha set we cashed in on, the 20 piece, right? If you just got like the 8 to the 19, you know, or the 1/4 to 3/4 thing going on, this covers you, and it covers you very well, I have to say. Aside from the 11/32. I guess we need to buy one of those, you know. It's just God's way of telling us we need another wrench, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, this gives you a much better appreciation for what this product does. I know we started the video kind of on a negative note because I was reliving what this did not do that I thought it would do. And this is where it shines. This is how it should be used. Something I can tell you, and this is what I thought about, like when I was like, I think I've missed the return window on these. And that's, again, based primarily upon me thinking like, man, I'm so ticked off. I think now I will keep these, but I might see if my nephew wants them. We're sort of building him out a tool set. I think these would be great, you know, obviously for, you know, one of your kids, a niece, a nephew. If you've got like, you know, a relative or, you know, a friend going into trade school, or you're going to start out. Now these are pricey. That would be the big downside. Like if you showcased everything that I brought in from Napa on that end of year storage blowout buy, these are the most expensive by a considerable margin. Obviously I don't know what's in them, right, in terms of like product and material and everything. I would think you would sell an awful lot of these at like the 19 to even 29, and people will try to hold out for a sale, versus the 34 and the 45 that we're seeing. The other one, assuming that it actually is strong enough to hold the wrenches vertically, I would have that be my expensive top tier price, right? Obviously you're giving up some things like the size labels, but to me, since this doesn't hold vertically, now if this held vertically, make this your cream of the crop, make it be the $45 and have people wait for a sale or just buy it. But as these sit, I think they would do far better 20 to 30 bucks, right? Maybe 19, you're cutting it too tight, and, you know, 29, maybe you're still making a few bucks. I'd rather sell a bunch of something and, you know, make decent profit every time, versus sell hardly any of anything and make, you know, a huge profit off of it, right? For example, if Napa is buying these, you know, for like 15 bucks a piece, and they're selling them for 45, making $30 profit, I would kind of rather see them sell them for, you know, 25 or 30 bucks and knock that profit down. But on the flip side, for them, move way more of them, right? I think at this price point, a lot of people are just going to step away and be like, nope, not doing it. And, rightfully so, but this is where these will shine, is in a drawer, a flat surface, something parallel to the ground. If you expect anything vertical out of them, you will be sorely disappointed. And don't you dare think, hey, I can drill that, I've got wood walls, I can mount it. You absolutely can do that, but when you go and you put these big heavy wrenches in, it's going to just rock out. That's an issue I had in the previous video. They would just, you get the bigger, heavier wrenches that would fit, and it would just roll itself out, kind of like a cam feature. So this is how they need to be oriented. This is what you need to expect with these. Whether you lay them out side by side, SAE and Metric, whether you do something like this, whether you have, conflicting from east to west, that's all entirely up to you. But I have to say I'm in a much better mood after using these as they were probably designed. But again, to my credit, and going off of what I see online, this to me legitimately looked like a vertical product. It 100% most definitely is not. So once more, I'm not going to grab it. I'm not going to spoil it again. But we have that one. I will open it up. We will test it, make a video on that. And again, ultimately, we'll compare this with all kinds of stuff. But this is where you need to use these. This is where they shine. Some of you are going to love it. You're going to like, man, these size markings are great. Just what the doctor ordered. Others of you are going to be like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I'm a man. I don't need a giant number 8 to tell me what wrench that is. I get it. It goes both ways. I'm just here showcasing it. What I had planned to do with these when I realized like the window was closed on me before I thought of like, seeing if my nephew wanted them. I might get like a really cheap set of wrenches. I don't know, like what brand that would be just yet. I'm not sure if it would be Ratcheting, if it would be standard length, stubby, whatever. But I'm kind of thinking like that's sort of what's going on over here. I'm sort of like populating these, but I didn't intend to do that. These were supposed to be like storage for parts and commodities, consumables. And somehow I've kind of wound up like, well, I've got this little tray. I'll just get some sockets. And I've sort of been going down that rabbit hole, unfortunately. But if you have an idea here, if you're like, man, you got to go to, run back into Napa, go to Carlyle, get whatever wrench. If you say, well, you got to try the Tecton wrenches. If it's like, get the plain Jane Capris, go so-and-so has them on sale right now. Get the Harbor Freight flex heads. Don't get the Pittsburgh. Get the whatever you think would be a decent set of wrenches to populate these with. Let me know. Maybe we'll make it happen on down the road. But that's that. Again, I would assume these are made by Mechanics Time Savers and Carlyle Tools branding in this case. Slight different color variations you can get if you go MTS. But the main thing, if there's not a huge sale at Carlyle, I would buy direct from Mechanics Time Savers because you save a lot of money. $10 a rack is not chump change. That's significant margin. I can assume you're going to buy Metric and SAE. That's $20 you saved. So keep that in mind. And again, I'm making nothing off of this. If I link anything, which I'll try to remember to do, solely there for your convenience, right? So with that said, I'm going to quit rambling. This is probably a long video too, but it's at least happier. I didn't just witness the Cowboys be eliminated from the playoffs or whatever had happened, and I entered this video knowing that these would not hang vertically, and also knowing that I now have the one that's supposed to hang vertically. So it would be cool, I will say, if MTS, I assume, does make these, or Carlyle commissions them, or whatever. It would be cool to have the best of both worlds, right? Where we have a labeled wrench holder that's able to go like this or vertical. That would be pretty snazzy, I have to say. But that said, it is stupid hot in here. I'll check the time. It's down to 93. Don't know what I'm complaining about. But I'm going to crack a door, get a breeze in here, get everything put back together. I hope this helps you out. Again, I think a lot of people, if you're just investigating this stuff late at night or you're on an organization kick, you could very easily wind up like me, buy these thinking they go vertically, and you would be just as ticked off as I was. So hopefully this helps some of you out in that regard. Maybe for some of you this is like something you hadn't seen, but yeah, so it's been, like I said, 4 or 5 months. Ideally I would have used these and kind of had like a better feel. No, I put them back in the packaging. I was that ticked off. I was like, I'm gonna see if I can return these. Also missing from the Napa box was a packing slip or a receipt, but it is what it is. I do think I'll keep them. I'll use them. I'll either, if I wind up with them, it'll be a cheap wrench set. If I give them to my nephew, it's whatever we decide to put in them. So we shall see. But anywho, that is that. Again, this is kind of a fresh, recent video for you. We have that with the Ram Revival recently. But these organization ones you've been watching, like that's, when I tell you I have videos stacked, I literally do. I'm not one of those people that like exaggerates. Like I have tons and tons of stuff I did back in January that still has not been released here on Magnum Day, 5.9 Magnum Day that is. So with that said, I'm gonna go mess around with the truck, do something fun, probably put some chicken in the oven, and we'll call it a day. So Carlyle Tools labeled magnetic wrench holders for parallel not vertical surfaces. Very expensive in my opinion. I wouldn't touch them unless they're on sale. Realistically, even the MTS price, I'd kind of like to see it a little bit lower, just straight up being honest with you. But for some people, this is probably going to be the bee's knees, and I can definitely see why you'd be interested in them for the same reason I was. But purchase them knowing to wait for a sale or to go direct to MTS, and also to use them in a drawer because they will not function vertically. So if I save one person from going through what I did, I'll be a happy little man. So with that said, thanks for watching. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at LoneStarMopars.com. Teaser I'll give you if you stuck around this long. Here's a little bonus for you. I am stoked about this. You're like, what in the world is that? For years, I've wanted one of these. This is a diffuser for a shop vac. I bought like 4 of these. I've got some at work, and then I got this one for me. At work, it's mainly really to diffuse. Number one, I want them quieter, but number two, like, if that shop vac pivots and it goes into a bin, it like cascades dirt from the 1960s on me. So this sucker right here, for me here at the shop, it's going to be a thing where I just hope it quietens down the shop vac a little bit. So I think mine's old enough, I don't even need the adapter. I think I just can wedge this one in, but we shall see. And that was your second teaser. So you kind of know, spoiled one video coming up on the vertical style, and I don't know that we'll make a video on that, but hey, if you're curious about that thing, ask, because I'll probably have used it. So once again, have a great rest of your week. Hope you had a fantastic Magnum day, 5.9 Magnum day. And with that said, I'll catch you back here for more action from the shop.